What's up and what's good? I'm Brolo. I'm coming at you today with a little bit of fantasy football talk here. Really, all I want to do today is just talk about one of my leagues that started a couple years ago, the League of Extraordinarily Average People. Basically, this is a 10-team Superflex league. Started up a couple years ago. We have a tier PPR system and a point per carry system. So, first and foremost, just for the roster stuff, we do have one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, one tight end, two flex positions, a super flex, so there's your 10. And then we do also have kicker and defense, which I don't really count for anything here. This league was founded a couple years ago with people just getting into Dynasty, all pretty much within my friend group. So just wanted to get them into something new here. They did like the idea of kicker and defense, so we decided to keep it and probably going to be going strong with it here. So a little bit unique, I would say, there. For scoring settings, I mean, just typical 4 point passing touchdown here. This is going to be point per carry. So running backs, receivers, and quarterbacks, if they rush the ball, they get zero point 0.2 points per attempt on top of their normal yards they get. Tier PPR format. So running backs, if they catch the ball, they get half a point for that for a reception. Receivers, they get a reception, it's one total point. For tight ends, they get a reception, it's 1.5 total points there. So again, overall, a little bit of a unique league. We also do have special teams points as well, so it's a little bit different. But just wanted to throw all that out there because give a little bit more context as to why I'd be making some of these picks here. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for today, I'm just going to be doing the first round of this 10-team league, just mock here. Just so you guys know, I am going to be utilizing this sleeper draft board, but also going over to good old Dynasty Daddy over here, just so you can get a little bit more context for team structure, team needs, and everything like that. So the first overall pick is owned by this individual here. We do have this league filled. We had a guy that basically bailed a few months ago. Not really sure why. The team's not really in shambles or anything. It's just like a couple pieces away from really being good. Nonetheless, it happened. So, yeah. Anyway, so getting into this here, obviously this guy has the 101. Pretty sure we all know he's going to go Ashton Genty. No need for a quarterback with three viable starters in a 10-team league. You don't really need anything more than that. I mean, it's just nice to have if you do, but really, if you have three, you're sitting pretty good. Running back, really outside of Brees Hall, doesn't really have anyone to be the true RB2. I mean, Spears and Javante, they're okay. Really, just there's a lot of unknown there. Wide receiver room for this guy is pretty good. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. I mean, they're not going to come out of wide receiver 1 and 2 for him. Between Devontae Smith, Ricky Pearsall, Jacoby Myers, probably I think Cedric Tillman is a good option for wide receiver 3, and then a couple flex options. And then obviously you look at tight ends. He has Brock Bowers, Kincaid, Kate Otten. So really no need for a tight ends there. With the 101, definitely going to go Ashton Genty. Honestly, outside of maybe IDP kind of leagues, I think Ashton Genty is just the chalk all around. Super flex, non super flex. Start 10, start 12, start 15. Maybe in a 16 team, if you need quarterback desperately, I can see Cam Ward going over Ashton Genty. But really, I mean, he's chalk 101 here. So moving on to pick number 2, owned by this individual here. As you can see, team needs kind of blaring at quarterback there, I would say. Looking down the board here, I mean, running back is fine. Don't need to really replace Achane or Gibbs right now with Marion Hampton or maybe Travion Henderson if you fancy that over him. Running back is probably a little weak, though. Will need to be addressed later on in the draft. He does have a second and fourth that we can kind of take a look into at some other time. Wide receiver room, I think, is pretty good despite Dynasty Daddy ranking him at number 5. Outside of Jefferson, A.J. Brown, and D.K. Metcalf, those should be the starting 3 receivers for him for the year, pending injury. And then between Keon Coleman, Romeo Dobbs, and Roman Wilson should have 1 to 2 flex options there. He is a Steelers fan. As you can see, I'm a Seahawks fan, so I am a little salty about the DK trade. I think it's going to work out for the Steelers more so in the long run there. But nonetheless, his wide receiver room is fine. And again, we can maybe adjust that down the road too. Looking over at tight ends, again, I think it's a fine room there. Starter clearly should be Mark Andrews there, with David Njoku kind of sprinkling in the mix, possibly 1A, 1B there. And he has insurance if Mark Andrews goes down. He has Isaiah Likely there. With all this being said, if I were him, I would do something a little unique, and I would go Cam Ward at the 102. What I think should happen is he should trade out of this pick, try to get a quarterback from a plethora of options here. So, I mean, it says I am a number one quarterback ranking here. I have Stroud, Nix, Murray, Young. I did try to send a trade a couple pieces along with Bryce Young for the 102, did get declined, so don't necessarily blame him for that. Looking at this other QB room that seems to be strong, I mean, Penix, Caleb Williams, Fields, Smith. Maybe this guy can part with Geno Smith, and this guy can fill it in for a year with Geno and just reassess down the road. I think Cam Ward is him. He was the 101 in this class for a reason. Everyone was talking that this quarterback class is just not that good. I kind of disagree a little bit. It was headlined by Shedeur Sanders and then Cam Ward. Shedeur is definitely the biggest name of this draft, but he went in the fifth round for reasons. We don't have to get into that there. I personally think he might be okay, but I think he was overhyped. Being that he's a fifth round pick, I think he'll end up having a decent career. Whereas if he was a first round pick, there'd probably be too much pressure on him. Maybe he would exceed expectations, maybe he wouldn't. Can't really play devil's advocate, especially this early here. But nonetheless, I think Cam Ward is a good pick. He was the 101 in the real NFL draft for a reason. We always go crazy over quarterbacks. And just think about this as well. Caleb Williams basically had everything in front of him. He didn't really crash and burn. He did fine, but the expectation was super high that he dipped in value. With Cam Ward, it's going to be almost the complete opposite here. He's not really expected to come in and do anything all that great, and I think he's a better quarterback than people give him credit for. He's a good leader. You look at everywhere he's been in college, he's always upgraded every time he transferred, made his players around him better. So, really, I think he's going to be fine, and I think really for a 102, it might be a reach, but I'm willing to bet that it's a safe pick for this guy here. So he should do this. He probably will do this. Not everyone's going to agree, but let's just keep it moving here. Now, going over to the third overall pick is going to be for this individual here. Take a look at his team. Quarterback is a little meh, I would say. I mean, obviously, Mahomes is going to be a good guy. Baker, going to be pretty decent, I would say. Anthony Richardson took a big swing. So far, it was a whiff, but hey, we don't know for sure. His running back room is not all that great. Like, yeah, James Cook is good. Yeah, Kamara's all right. Yeah, Najee Harris, I mean, he's fine. I think Najee Harris will actually play a little bit better than what people are saying. Everyone's just always ready for the next guy to kind of come up, and that's Amari and Hampton there. However, I think Najee is proven in this league, and I think he's going to get a good opportunity, and it might honestly be a 50-50 split for this year, which not a lot of people are factoring in. So with that, yes, I think Omarion should be the pick for him at 103, and that's probably what I'll end up doing here. But there might present opportunities for people to get into Omarion Hampton maybe halfway through the year if Najee and he are kind of splitting the workload. Maybe he dips in value a little bit. Could be an opportunity to buy into him throughout the year as he's not getting all the work and carry that we're expecting. But anyway, we move on to the wide receiver position for this individual. Take a look at Drake London and Lad McConkey. They both are going to be solidified 1A, 1B for this guy for a while. I think Rome Odunze is still going to be a really good receiver, and his really kind of just maintained value, which is fine. I think people learned a lesson with JSN taking a huge dip and then coming way back up, and now he's almost at the point of being hyperinflated, I would say. I think he's still a fine player, but I don't know if he's really worth like a 3-4 turn pick or anything right now. Looking down a little bit is his receivers as well. So besides Romeo, Zay Flowers are kind of interchangeable. Could be a good wide receiver 3 option or flex. And then between Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill, he should have a good other option to throw in the receiving position or flex position there. And then good depth behind him with Juwan Jennings, maybe Quentin Johnson if it breaks right there. Looking at tight end, this is a little bit weaker, I would say as well. This guy is an Eagles fan, so he does have Goddard. He does have Dalton Schultz as well. Now, between those two tight ends, they might get him by for a year, a couple years longer, but I think at some point, tight end does need to be addressed. But with what's available at the board, it does not make sense to go for a tight end over a Marion Hampton, especially other needs for this team. So that's what I'm going to do for him, go Marion Hampton. Now, this brings us over to the 104, which is owned by this individual here. He did get the 101 this past year, and he did go with Caleb Williams. With all that, I think this team is on the up and up here. Obviously, biggest need is going to be tight end for this position. This guy really could use basically everything here and go best player available, which is great for fantasy football. Quarterback, don't really see a need for it right now. Don't think it's going to be too Jackson Dart-like for this, or even a Tyler Show, with everything that's kind of gone on with New Orleans. So really looking at this, I think best player available. Yes, this does say there does need to be a more need for running back than receiver, but I think this guy's receiver room is a little hyperinflated with a good amount of depth options available. Obviously, he has Jamar Chase, which is going to be the wide receiver one for this team. Never going to come out of the starting lineup pending injury. The only issue is after that, he has a bunch of NFL wide receiver twos, whether that's Jordan Addison, Xavier Worthy, or Jameson Williams there. I like all those guys here. Honestly, I do prefer them in best ball over lineup leagues. That's just me because, one, you never have to worry about setting the lineup. But in all actuality, between those three guys I mentioned, then Judy, then Shakir, and even Christian Kirk and Amari Cooper when he lands a spot as well, he does have decent receivers, but no true studs outside of Jamar Chase. And then looking at his tight end room as well, Evan Ingram probably be good for a couple more years, but I don't think he's ever going to be an elite tight end. And if you don't have an elite tight end, you're kind of falling behind the curve with that. So with all this context in here, I think the best option is going to go best player available for this individual. And for me, that's going to be a wide receiver. Right now, we are projecting Travis Hunter to be a full-time receiver and a part-time defensive back. As I'm recording this is the middle of May. This draft is actually going to be taking place in August, the second Sunday after the preseason games here. So as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and pencil in Travis Hunter. I do think ultimately this should be the pick here if he doesn't go 103 to the previous individual we looked at. So with all that, Travis Hunter is on this team, solidifying more wide receiver positions for this individual. And also maybe this guy can trade a couple pieces away, build up, maybe get a tight end, or maybe get another running back here. Now going over to the individual with pick 5. That's going to be this guy. Oh, I lied to you. Sorry. That is going to be this guy. The 105 here, quarterback does become a need. He only has really 2 starters. I do project Aaron Rodgers to start at some point this year, but as of right now, May 14th, he's not landed on a team. All points are leading towards he go to the Steelers, but hey, now the Saints kind of have a need. Maybe he goes there. Who knows? Looking at the running back position, I mean, he has studs here. He does have Saquon Barkley, who should have a few years left on the treads for him. I don't know if Saquon's going to be able to recreate everything he just did, but, I mean, I've been wrong a couple times in my life, so who knows. Between Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry, I think this is a very solid running back room. This guy did win the league the first year, and then kind of crashed and burned a little bit with injuries, ended up getting 5th place here. Obviously has the 105. But with everything here, I mean, he still has good assets. They are definitely a lot older. What I would do in this situation is try to pivot off of these assets and trade for future capital. Obviously, we're not doing the draft right now, so there is a lot of time to do that. I do think for honestly trying to get the most value at this point, just kind of sticking and picking when this draft happens, and then maybe wait a few weeks into the season, see who's kind of contending or trending in that direction, and then try to make moves to either rebuild or if this guy's winning, just again try to go all in and just kind of mortgage the future. Winning the first 2 of the 3 years in a Dynasty league, I mean, definitely going to be a successful endeavor for you. But anyway, running back position is good, but it is kind of aging up. Wide receiver position here. Puka Nacua, obvious stud. Outside of that, there's a lot of question marks. The talent of Josh Downs is great, but the overall system with him and this quarterback situation just kind of unsure. Debo Samuel, I think, is underrated. I think clearly Debo's the wide receiver two on this team and should be fine for a couple more years, but he is getting a little bit older as well. Now, Cooper Kupp, I kind of like him, but uh, as a Seahawks fan, I'm kind of tempering my expectations a bit here. It is trending towards being a ground and pound kind of team with Sam Darnold at the helm being a game manager, which is nothing wrong with that. But for fantasy purposes, I would rather own the running backs than the receivers in that room. Plus, Cup is getting a little bit older. I don't expect the Seahawks to really be all that great this year as well. So it's just kind of a mess, and I don't really want any part of Cooper Cup this year, and probably for, unfortunately, just the rest of his career the way it's trending. But outside of that, there's really no other good options there. So wide receiver is in need, running back could be a need. Looking at tight end, definite need as well. He doesn't really have a clear starter at tight end. Unfortunately, in this league, we don't do a lot of trades all that often here. This guy does not have his second round pick. He has my fourth, and I'm actually holding his second. It was just one of a couple trades that, went down this past year. I do have a little bit of inside info on this as well. I do think this guy is going to go tight end because it is the biggest need. Even with Tetrana McMillan available and a couple of running backs there, I think he is going to go at the tight end position, and Tyler Warren is going to be the tight end over Colson Loveland. And the only reason why I say this is it projects that Tyler Warren does have a clearer path to success, at least from the start. There's no other competition in the tight end position there. Very minimal competition at the wide receiver position in Indianapolis as well. So I think he's going to go Tyler Warren for that reasons. I think they're kind of 1A and 1B on what receivers will be the best and who will be kind of the worst for that, which I don't really want to say worse. I think they're both going to be pretty good. But anyway, going on to pick 6, we have this individual here with a pretty solid quarterback room, I would say. Obviously, Lamar Jackson headlines his whole team. Dak Prescott, better quarterback than average, I would say. Matthew Stafford, jury's kind of out at this point. I think the Dynasty community is starting to lose a little bit of favor with him. Losing Cup kind of hurts, but he has another receivers joining him as well. Devontae Adams is there. Obviously, he has Puka, and he has a couple depth options with Tutu Atwell and Whittington as well. So could be options there, and another rookie tight end to kind of mold behind a couple people there. So looking at running back, not really looking that great. Kyron Williams is okay, but outside of that, there's no super clear stud. Probably going to be starting James Conner more times than not here. He is getting a little bit older and a little weary, I would say. He is off injured, but this past year, he was doing fine. I wouldn't really count on that per se. I think running back could easily be in play for this individual. Looking at receiver, I also think that could be in play for this individual here. Really, T. Higgins and DJ Moore should be starting for this team this whole year. Brandon Ayuk, a little bit questionable with an injury there. I'm not sure how much he'll be back this year, if it's going to be full speed or mostly 80% or so. He's in a good offense, so he's got that going for him. But outside of that, Chris Godwin, somewhat of a same boat. He is a little bit older and coming off of an injury. Tampa Bay did draft Emeka Ibuka in the first round, so it's a little questionable for how targets will be distributed there. Looking at Hollywood Brown and Wandell Moore, they're okay in a pinch if you really need to, but you're not going to feel good about starting individuals like that too. And then moving on to tight end position for this guy. Travis Kelce, he's fine. He's a little bit older, kind of slowing down a little bit, but nonetheless still should be good. Brenton Strange, I do have a decent amount of shares across my portfolio here. Really, we don't know how good he's going to be. I think everyone's hopeful that he's good, and it's kind of baked into his price a little bit as to why he has gained so much value for not really doing a whole lot in the league. Johnny Smith, he definitely was a big performer last year and could be another solid option this year. So all in all, definitely don't think tight end is in play for the first round, but maybe second or third rounds, this guy would go that. I do also know this individual is a Panther fan here. With that, I think by default he is going to go Tetrana McMillan. There are needs at running back. There are needs at wide receiver. Doesn't really need a quarterback. It doesn't make sense here. Tight end he could use, but that could be a future problem as well. So Tetrana McMillan is going to go to this individual. Now going over to 107, zoned by this individual here. He has two quarterbacks, and his other one retired earlier this week or last week at this point. Outside of that, I mean, could look at quarterback, but again, I think it's too early for what this draft presents here. I do think Tyler Show is going to end up being QB2 off the board. I just think the Dynasty community does not like Jackson Dart. I actually do. I really think Jackson Dart could be the 1B quarterback behind Cam Ward in this draft. But it's going to be a little tough to get there just with the path of playing time and everything. With this guy's running back room, does have Josh Jacobs, which is good. Does have Chuba Hubbard, which is good. David Montgomery, I mean, I think is fine and solid. And between Rashad Wright, Marshawn Lloyd, and Rico Dowdle, if someone goes down on injury, they should be decent options there. Receiver, not really much going on besides Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams, who we talked about earlier, just going over to the Rams. I mean, should be okay, but I don't think he's going to be a top performer or anything. Maybe like a really nice flex option. Calvin Ridley, I personally have him a little bit higher than what consensus does, but again, I have Cam Ward a little bit higher, and that's kind of why they play hand in hand together. I don't think Calvin Ridley is going to be a top 20 receiver, but I think maybe like 21 to 27 where he finishes. It's definitely within the realm of possibilities there, and I'm willing to bet on him with that. But really, outside of those guys, there's not really much in the receiver room for him. Looking at tight end, he does have George Kittle, did recently sign an extension, so no need to really replace him right now. Luke Musgrave, I mean, is solid. With Kraft coming into the mix, the same draft class as Musgrave, it's kind of like a 1A, 1B situation, but as of now, it looks like Kraft is going to be the main guy with Musgrave coming in being a supporting piece, if you will. So this is kind of a little bit interesting because obviously the clear and biggest need is going to be the receiver room, but outside of Travis Hunter and Tetrana McMillan, I mean, you have Emeka Ibuka, but Matthew Golden might have a little bit more opportunity to start, so you really don't know what that looks like. Personally, if I were him, I would go best player available, and to me, that's going to be Trevion Henderson here at the running back position. I don't know if that's something that will happen, really. Just with this guy's running back room, I mean, he might not do this. I personally think he should, but I think what's going to end up happening, he's going to go Emeka Ibuka and just kind of bet on the talent at the receiver where it's the biggest need for him. And that brings me to my team here, which I have at the 108. So looking at my room, I have a really good quarterback room. I really have no need to get a Jackson Dart or Tyler Show or anything like that. Looking at running back, I mean, I do kind of have a need there. Obviously, I have Bijan, which headlines the room, which is very good. But then I kind of solidified just the Seahawk quarterback or running back, excuse me, with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. So between both of them, I feel pretty solid about starting the Seahawks room. Obviously, I had to give the leg to K9 until he gets hurt, if he gets hurt, and then go over to Zach Charbonnet. I did draft Trey Benson pretty early last year, and obviously that wasn't really fruitful. James Conner did not get hurt like I was expecting or really kind of banking on there. Don't want to wish injury upon anyone. It's just terrible. These guys are making livelihoods, and we're making money off of their livelihoods doing this. So don't want anything to bad happen there or anything like that. But so far, Trey Benson has kind of been a little bit of a whiff there. My room is inflated a little bit, just having a sheer amount of backup caliber running backs on the roster. Looking at receivers, I think it's pretty solid, all things considered. I mean, obviously, Marvin Harrison was a little bit of a disappointment as well, but I still think he can have a good bounce back year two, and he really wasn't all that bad. We just had super high expectations, and he just unfortunately wasn't able to meet them. Garrett Wilson, I mean, kind of the same deal there. I guess I just have the wide receiver Ohio State room, if you will. But Garrett Wilson, I mean, should have been a little bit better, I would say. And he didn't do bad, but he was just on a not great offense headlined by Aaron Rodgers. So I think he was a little overshadowed from his situation. Obviously, having Justin Fields as the quarterback, to me, might be a little bit of a downgrade of a pure passing offense. but overall, as an offense that can move the ball in the running game and then pass second, it's not the best for fantasy, but it will probably still be somewhat fruitful there. Then looking down a little bit, um, Chris Olave, if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be fine. But again, quarterback for that team is a little shaky. George Pickens, I'm thrilled that I held on to him here. I think he'll end up being my wide receiver 3 for this upcoming year. And then between Olave and Jaden Reed, should have a flex option there. Looking at tight ends for me as well. I mean, Trey McBride ends up being my best tight end. This time last year, I was thinking that was going to be Sam Laporta. Nonetheless, both are still good, and I think both will start. Obviously, one in the tight end position, one in the flex position. Looking at Tucker Craft and Jake Ferguson as well, I think they're good, nice depth options for if I have any injuries there. So, all in all, I mean, I think I have a pretty decent team, and I can afford to go best player available. Really, I was thinking I would be going running back. In all honesty, I don't think Trevion Henderson's going to be available to me at 108, nor should he be. I can see him going anywhere between these 4 picks here. I just think with the different team needs and what's available, this is kind of how it's going to fall. So with my pick, I will pick up Trevion Henderson and be happy about that. Now going over to the 9 position here, it's from this individual. Again, this we just finished up our second year a few months back. This guy got second place in the first year and second place in the second year. So I mean, it's good, but just got a little unlucky with matchups and everything. So with his quarterback room, he does have Hurts and Purdy, obviously the 2 cemented starters, but outside of that, question marks. Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, playing in Indianapolis now. I mean, he's fine, but he's not really enriched as the starter. He'll probably end up seeing some starter snaps. Maybe it's okay to hold on to a QB room like this for this year and address it down the road. But, I mean, I would want a QB if I were this person. Running back, definitely want a running back here as well. It is inflated as the RB1 just because the sheer amount of bodies on this team, but there's really no starter running back outside of Ramondre Stevenson, in my opinion. I know I just drafted his new teammate in Henderson, but I think Ramondre will start the year at the starting position and kind of slowly seed snaps to Henderson and maybe get into a 50-50 timeshare. But outside of that, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, I don't even know if he's going to be the starter for the Chiefs. I don't know if the Chiefs know this right now. And there's no clear starter outside of really Ramondre. So running back is definitely in play for this, besides it saying the number 1 position. Wide receiver, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's in play. I think he actually has the best wide receiver room going back to the scoring settings with special teams points. With CeeDee Lamb and Jackson Smith and Jigma, they're not coming out of wide receiver 1 and 2 for him. Rashee Rice should easily be the wide receiver 3 for this individual. There's a little bit of injury, so we just got to be a little bit careful there, but I think he's fine. And then again, going back to kick and punt return between Rashid Shaheed and Marvin Mims, definitely a flex caliber player there. Tank Dell, unfortunate injury. Don't know if he's going to be coming back this year, and really don't know what he looks like long term, but not worth like moving off him or anything at this point. Demario Douglas, I mean, could be good, but it might take an injury for him to actually be like usable in fantasy purposes. Maybe like a couple flyer weeks here and there, but nothing you can really bet on. Tight end room, I think is pretty solid. This guy did end up trading his first round pick last year for TJ Hawkinson, which I think kind of worked out a little bit here. But nonetheless, Hawkinson and Pitts are the tight end positions for him, and Jatavion Sanders is a backup option there. So all in all, definitely the biggest position in need is going to be running back, followed by QB, and then probably tight end. With running back, there is a couple options available here. In my opinion, I think it should be between first Harvey and then second Quinshawn and then third Caleb Johnson, just with the opportunity available here. So for this individual, I'm going to have them go RJ Harvey, just clear a path to touches early and often, and this guy is a contender, and that's really what he needs to add. Now going on to the last team that we have available, picking in the last spot, he did win the league. I will admit he is a little bit of a taco of this league, but it just broke right for him, everything. Got lucky drafting Jaden Daniels, I think, from this 4 spot last year, or 5 if I'm not mistaken there. With him and Joe Burrow, I mean, really good quarterback room, but nothing outside of that. So if one does go down on injury, going to be a little bit dicey there. But hey, nonetheless, he has two studs. Running back could possibly use one here. Jonathan Taylor and Chase Brown should be his two starting running backs with options to flex Joe Mixon, possibly Travis Etienne, and possibly Tony Pollard if it breaks right for him. Really, those three running back rooms are a little mucky right now. It does project it is Joe Mixon's backfield until he loses it. There is a couple guys in that room. Damian Pierce is still around. They did draft a rookie out of USC, who some people are kind of sleeping on, and some people are starting to talk about him. So, if anything, I think it is going to be a 60%, 40% split when the running back snaps there, which is not necessarily bad. But again, for running back three or flex option, that's perfectly fine. That's all you need. Looking at wide receiver, he does have two studs in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Nico Collins, and really outside of that is just kind of backup options. Cortland Sutton, yeah, I mean, he should be fine, but he is getting up there, so you can't really count on him for too much longer. Michael Pittman, we thought he was going to be pretty good. I'm not really sure if he necessarily took a step back. I think it was just the offense in general that is kind of holding him back. Again, kind of same thing with Josh Downs there, too. Xavier Legette, little bit of a disappointing season here. Darnell Mooney, I think is solid, and in all honesty, is the wide receiver three for this team. But really, it's two wide receivers and then depth options. So wide receiver is a need here. Personally, I think what should happen is this guy should go tight end. Looking over his tight end positions here, he has Pat Fryermuth here. This guy is a big Cole Kmet fan. Don't really understand it all that much, but he swears by Cole Kmet is his tight end. I did trade him Chigo Okonkwo towards the end of last year as well. Didn't really make a difference at the end of the day, but that's why he doesn't have his third round pick here. And I have his fourth next year. Gave him a couple players there. Chig was one of the bigger ones I gave him there. Really, I mean, I think he should go tight end. That's not going to happen just based off of talking to this individual. He is very set in his way. He has one player that he wanted and one player that he wanted to get drafted by his team, the Panthers. Gonna have to scroll down a little bit. Not seeing him be a first round pick, but Cam Scadaboo is his guy that he wants, and I think this is what's going to happen for his pick. All in all, this is going to be wrapping up the first round of what I think will happen in my league here. I know this is a little bit different, little bit unique. Really don't see one tight end going and, five running backs going. Name Scadaboo is the last. That's a little questionable, but this is what I think will happen in my league. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, enjoying watching the show here. I've been Brolo, and hopefully see you in the next one.